What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And today it is yet another mock draft. That's right. Make sure to like and subscribe to this channel. Leave your comments in the comment section. The last mock draft did quite well for such a small channel, so let's try to get some more discourse going in there. I know I got Detroit Lion fans all up in arms, but hopefully you saw from this that maybe I met you on some type of middle ground here, perhaps. There are some major moving parts, I think, based upon certain performances, and if those performances maintain, then I think you Lions fans, I think that my way of doing this week might be the most realistic for your team. How about that? Maybe? Well, let's get to it, and then you guys can yell at me, I guess, in the comment section so we can go back and forth. All right? Let's get to it. 2 rounds, using the most up-to-date draft order, at least to the best of my ability. So let's get to it. All right, so let's start with the first 8 picks. And we got Bryce Young going number 1 to Houston. Houston's going quarterback. They're going to finish in that one of those spots. I do have the Raiders taking C.J. Stroud. Now, I believe that if the Raiders finish in this spot, in the top 2, where they have a shot to get Young or Stroud, whichever one doesn't go first, they will take it. And they will move on from Derek Carr, free up that money, and spend it on getting some veterans on the defense, spreading out that money, because there's a lot of pieces on that defense that need to be fixed. That drafting a rookie, especially one of the rookies in this spot, whether it be Anderson or Carter, is not going to be someone who's going to make a significant difference right away. And what they need right away is a significant difference maker. And a number of them. They need to get guys in that secondary, in the linebackers, in the interior. So you should be doing that with veterans, guys who understand the game, guys that you can scheme properly, that you're not going to have some of these learning curves that rookies are going to have potentially. And then you worry about replenishing those spots with veterans. Maybe sign 2-year deals on these guys, but you get your quarterback in there and you can spend all that money that for Derek Carr elsewhere. Maybe even get a draft pick for him. Maybe a second-round pick. You could probably, depending on what happens with Geno Smith, get a late first-round pick for him. There's a lot of moving parts there. And Derek Carr, I think, will be valuable to a team, but I think he's less valuable to the Raiders if they finish in this spot. With that, Carolina is going Will Anderson, the edge rusher, Alabama, just taking the best player that they can find on the board. Same thing with the Eagles taking Jalen Carter. You pair him with Jordan Davis on that interior. 2 different style guys, 2 different sizes, but you can get Jordan Davis as that one technique, 3-down guy, and Jalen Carter is a 3 technique, 3-down guy. So you're going to have a good group there, consistent pairing on the interior that's really going to help out the edge rushers as you help replenish that group as well as we move forward. And then Jacksonville, I got them taking Brian Breezy, defensive tackle out of Clemson. I think that getting somebody in that front 4 on the defense is continuing to be important. I don't know if Josh Allen's going to stick around. He was brought up in trade rumors. If he is gone, then I could see this being Myles Murphy, but assuming he stays on the team, Brian Breezy sliding in and being that 3-4 defensive end, 3 tech, 5 tech guy. Then I got the Bears going Peter Skoronski, tackle out of Northwestern. I would invest in Justin Fields, maybe add some veterans onto that defense to help them out there, and really focus on building up a strong young nucleus on the offense. Even though their tackles have been playing okay, you can have Skoronski play tackle, he can play guard, he can play either one of those spots. He's just getting a great defensive lineman out there is going to be important. And then here at Seattle, I got him taking Myles Murphy. Getting a good compliment opposite Boye Mafe moving forward, mixing him in there with Uchenna Nwosu, who's having a pretty underrated season. Having a good rotation in there, and Nwosu won't necessarily be playing there forever. I don't know what kind of deal. I think he signed a 2-year deal with them, I think. Now, and if he keeps playing this way, he's going to demand some pretty big money, then you don't necessarily have to pay him now. And now here's Detroit, and Lions fans. Are you happy? Are you satisfied? The first pick you see going off the board is not Will Levis. It's Keely Ringo, cornerback out of Georgia. Pair him up with Jeff Okudah. This is what you guys wanted. Now, Keely Ringo, if he's not Sauce Gardner, then it's not going to really be a significant help to your defense right away. But this is what you guys wanted. So we're about to meet in the middle because I'm going to skip over the first two picks. Pick number 11, Will Levis, quarterback, Kentucky. I think this is a fair middle ground, guys. If they're picking 11th, if their next pick, their second first round pick, if Will Levis is there, they take him 100% every single time, and they cut Jared Goff. I'm just going to cut in on this video real quick to let you guys know about my main channel. It's called Will Reacts, where I cover all things from politics, pop culture, entertainment, ideological standings, all that good stuff, all that controversial, will I get banned one day topics. If you're interested in that, the link is in the description of this video. So after you finish watching this, you can go there and subscribe to that channel as well if you haven't already. Now let's get back to the sports talk. Or they keep Jared Goff and they do a competition for a year and then get rid of him. I don't know. But if Will Levis is on the board for them, they're going to take him with that second first round pick at worst case scenario. So you guys need to get right with this. Okay? Leave your hate comments in the comment section. Going back 2 spots, Quentin Johnson, receiver to Houston, taking the best weapon on the board. Brandon Cook's probably gone, so you want to replace that, but you replace him with a pretty solid all-around receiver that's going to help out Bryce Young. The style of receiver for Quentin Johnson is going to help out Bryce Young. Also, you pair him up. You got John Mechie out there. Hopefully, Nico Collins is sort of starting to figure it out, come into his own, and then you can bring in, one of those like wide receiver 4, wide receiver 3 type wide receivers through free agency. Pittsburgh, Paris Johnson, tackle, Ohio State, taking the best offensive lineman on the board. Then we did Detroit. Leave your hate comments. Atlanta, taking the best receiver on the board, Jordan Addison. Good compliment for his USC teammate, Drake London. Well, they didn't play together because Addison was at Pitt, actually, last year. But you get the point. Another USC wide receiver coming in with a different skill set, to try to blend in and create a different type of weapon out there. Now that Calvin Ridley's not coming back guaranteed, that made receiver even more of an important spot to go to. Arizona going Tyree Wilson, edge rusher at Texas Tech. I think traits-wise, they're going to really love him, and they got to get a pass rush going there, man. They got to. There's a lot of potentially good quarterbacks still in that division, and they got to compete, and the best way to compete is to have good edge play and good offensive line play. Here's Green Bay. I'm taking Michael Mayer, tight end at Notre Dame. I don't think they'll go receiver ever in the first round. If they're going to add another receiver to this roster, it's going to be through free agency. It's going to be a veteran. Christian Watson seems to be coming into his own. You got Romeo Doubs, who's hopefully going to come back healthy and still continue to develop. So you had Michael Mayer in there, who really fits that system really well. They got the 2 running back systems. So you got a tight end who can block and he can get out there and run routes, very George Kittle-esque, and allows you to move on from a guy like Tanyan, or if you got Mercedes Lewis, who's 75 years old, he might retire. So you can keep Tanyan, keep Mayer, and keep the 2 tight end set in there. That's a system that really complements a 2 tight end set at times, especially ones with that skill set. And then you can add a veteran wide receiver to help out, get rid of Sammy Watkins, who's absolute trash. Doesn't get talked enough. I say this I think in a couple videos now. He doesn't get talked about enough as being one of the great busts in NFL history. 4th overall pick, absolute garbage, no football IQ whatsoever. Colts, Jackson Smith-Njigba, wide receiver, Ohio State. This is your slot guy. Compliment Alec Pierce and Michael Pittman. Again, a little out of range of a quarterback unless you're going to reach for one, but I have plans for them later. Then we got Washington, Christian Gonzalez, cornerback out of Oregon. St. Juste is starting to look like he had a pretty good game against the Eagles. But you want to have, a good cornerback room in order to compete with teams that you know are going to be adding to the wide receiver room if they don't already have a good one. So you got to keep up with that. And of course, are they going to be the team that goes after maybe a Derek Carr in this scenario? Or are they just going to keep Taylor Heineke there and have him and Sam Howell compete for a year and then decide quarterback later? Be interested to see what they do. But in this scenario, they're not reaching for a quarterback either. Got the Chargers going with Trenton Simpson. They need some better run defense. And I know Trent Simpson, a linebacker, a second-level guy. I think that you can still add to the defensive interior through free agency the way that they did. I think maybe just get some better run stuffer types, some bigger space eaters. Might be a little too early for me to take one of them here. Maybe a trade down would be a scenario if they were targeting like a Gervin Dexter or Siaki Ika. Bengals, Broderick Jones take the best tackle on the board. I think that's pretty self-explanatory for this team. I got the Bucs going with Joey Porter Jr., cornerback out of Penn State. They're going to lose Jamel Dean and or Sean Murphy Bunting. So I know a lot of people have been saying that. A lot of people know it, so a lot of people mock corner to them, and that's why I'm doing that, because they just don't have the cap space to be able to accommodate both of those guys, and so they need to have somebody that can come in and replenish that spot, if not two spots. Broncos, Olu Fashanu, tackle Penn State. They got to do something with this offense. This pick has to go towards the offense. Their offense has been very bad. I think it was like if their offense averaged 19 points a game, they would have like 6 wins this year or something. I think it was a weird stat like that. So they got to do something. Keep Russell Wilson standing on his feet. Give him some more confidence out there. Then the Patriots, Cam Smith, cornerback, South Carolina. Jonathan Jones is a free agent, I think. You got getting good play out of Jack Jones. You got Marcus Jones playing in the slot. Get Cam Smith out there, play the other corner spot. I like that idea. Completely revamped cornerback room in 2 drafts. Seattle, Osiris Torrance, guard out of Florida. Just take a guy for the trenches. They got tackles figured out. Now you can add another young guy there on the interior. Jets, Antonio Johnson, defensive back, Texas A&M. Keep adding to that defensive back room, baby. Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed playing great ball. Get a guy up there playing in that high safety role. A guy then come down, play an 8th man in the box, play some slot. If you want to bump DJ Reed or Sauce maybe to follow a guy around who might end up being a slot guy, you can put Johnson on the outside. There's a lot of possibilities here. And then Brian Branch going to the Bills. That aging safety room needs to be addressed, and this is a good time to address it where you don't really have that many pressing needs anywhere else on the team. At least there isn't at least not with a guy on the board that could fulfill that without it being a gigantic reach. And here I got the Ravens going with Bijan Robinson, running back out of Texas. Imagine if the Ravens could do Lamar Jackson and Bijan Robinson. How insane that would be. And I think that they're not going to bring back any of these running backs that they have because they need to re-sign Lamar Jackson, and he's going to get a lot of money. Next is the Titans with Isaiah Foskey, edge rusher, Notre Dame. This is, get a third man in that group. If you're going to keep Bud Dupree, I don't recommend it. Cowboys go Siaki Ika, defensive tackle, Baylor. They got to figure out that rush defense also. They're kind of like the Chargers in that sense. And they're in a really good spot where this isn't a reach for Ika. This is about the range that he should probably be going in. So, yeah, get a big body space eater in there, baby. The Giants, as long as they're picking here and this guy's on the board, they're getting Kayshon Boutte pretty much every time. So they need receivers, man. They need them. They need guys who can win at the line of scrimmage. They need guys who can get separation. And they need guys that can play on the outside. And Boutte in this spot, he's somebody who could play on the outside better than perhaps, say, Jalen Hyatt, definitely more than a Josh Downs, who are the next 2 receivers up, unless you're going to reach for someone like Rashee Rice. or Cedric Tillman, who would be outside guys. I think Butte is just going to be, this is where he's going to shine, I think. Vikings, BJ Ojulari, edge rusher, LSU. I think it's just best player on the board for them. And then the Chiefs, I got him taking Nolan Smith, edge rusher out of Georgia. I think he tore his pec, but getting a fifth-year option, I think the Chiefs are sort of that team that's in the business of getting guys at certain positions of value with these fifth-year options to allow them to develop and to then to get as much out of them as they can. And Nolan Smith and George Karlaftis could be a pretty good group. And once they move on from Frank Clark and get some money from him, because what a ripoff that's been. Then we got the Eagles, Felix Anudike from Kansas State. So you pair him up with Jalen Carter, and you got one heck of an interesting first-round draft for the Eagles. You got a new edge rusher to replace guys like Brandon Graham in that rotation, and then you get Jalen Carter to play next to Jordan Davis. That front four looking strong for the Eagles. Very strong. It's great. This is a great opportunity for them to really double down on that defensive front four and keep building it up. And Dolphins, LOL, tampering, losers. Going to the second round, and let's go through this pretty quick. Jared Verse, edge rusher from Florida State, going to Houston. Jerry Hughes is playing great, but he's old. You need to get some youth in there. Gervin Dexter, tier defensive lineman, Florida, going to the Raiders. I think that's just best defensive player on the board, because as much as I demand that they do it in free agency, you can sign a bunch of guys to one-year deals and let these guys develop and then maybe be better difference makers in year 2 or 3. Carolina gets their quarterback, Anthony Richardson from Florida. New Orleans gets their quarterback, Hendon Hooker, quarterback out of Tennessee. Back-to-back quarterbacks there to two very quarterback-needy teams. Saints, who didn't have a first-round pick, and Carolina, who missed out on the top 2 guys. So now getting a little bit more value here with Anthony Richardson, who may not be ready right away, but, you know, you're a rebuilding team. Don't get too ahead of yourselves here. Jacksonville gets Clark Phillips III, cornerback Utah. That guy can play in the slot, complement Tyson Campbell, who's having a great year. Steelers get Andre Carter, edge rusher out of Army, a good character player I think would fit well with Tomlin. Complement TJ Watt when he comes back. Noah Sewell going to Seattle. Another linebacker. Put him out there with Jordan Brooks. You got a good linebacking group, the type of thing they really like on that defense. I got the Rams taking Jalen Hyatt, wide receiver, Tennessee. Just getting another weapon out there that you can throw the ball to, man. Cooper Kupp is that whole offense. I know Cooper Kupp is a slot guy. Jalen Hyatt's a slot guy. But it's just, I trust McVay to be able to scheme these guys in a way where they can both use a skill set, both get open, and both just be legitimate options for Matthew Stafford, who's kind of been hung up to dry this year. Here's the Cleveland Browns going Josh Downs, wide receiver, North Carolina. This is about investing in Deshaun Watson. And you got to use all your picks in a way, I think, for the next couple of years that are going to be about making him the best player he can be. Got Jacqueline Roy going to the Steelers, another defensive lineman. This is basically a Cameron Hayward replacement. You got him and DeMarvin Leal, who can sort of fill in those roles there. You got Tuitt, who retired on you, so Roy can play that role also. Got the Lions going with Darnell Washington, tight end out of Georgia. Just a big body traitsy guy for your quarterback of the future, who you draft this year in this draft. Sorry, Lions fans. To throw the ball to. A different type of guy out there. The Falcons go Emmanuel Forbes, cornerback, Mississippi State. This is a good compliment for A.J. Terrell. Cardinals, I'm going Jahmyr Gibbs, running back, Alabama. Get a weapon. Another weapon, this one in the backfield for Kyler Murray. Sort of play around with that. Another Notre Dame player, this time on the defense side of the ball, going to Green Bay. It's Brandon Joseph. This is your Adrian Amos replacement. And here are the Colts. I said I had plans for you. Tanner McKee, quarterback, Stanford. This is a interesting spot for him to go in. And then we got Drew Sanders, linebacker, going to Washington, another defensive player for them. This is hopefully going to light a fire under Jamin Davis. And here are the Chargers going with Anton Harrison. This is the right tackle of the future for them. I mean, you can also put Rashawn Slater at right tackle if that's what you're going to do. But finishing up this offensive line for the Chargers, getting some protection for Justin Herbert, who has been, it's been interesting. Eli Ricks going to the Bengals. He could fly up, but this is about the range he's going to go in currently, especially with Alabama somehow losing again. But, man, what a year for Alabama, an interesting year. Zach Harrison, edge rusher, going to Tampa Bay. They need help at that edge position. Getting a third guy in there with Tryon and Shaq Barrett is going to be really important to them. Logan Hall is going to be more that down lineman. Carolina going with Rashee Rice, wide receiver, SMU. Get a big guy for Richardson to throw that ball to, because that ball might be sailing a bit early on in his career, but get a good compliment to DJ Moore in Rashee Rice. Then DeJuan Jones, tackle, Ohio State, with Isaiah Wynn being likely gone, Marcus Cannon likely being gone as well. This is how you replenish that spot. And it's a Belichick pick. A lineman. Seattle gets Devin Witherspoon, cornerback, Illinois. Put him out there with Kobe Bryant and Tariq Woolen. Kind of the same idea as with the Jets. Replenish that. Keep piling in the youth in their secondary that's been frankly overperforming expectations. Speaking of the Jets, Jalen Duncan, tackle out of Maryland. They're going to lose Mekhi Becton in some way, shape, or form. It seems George Fant is not playing as good as he did last year. So you need guys to come in and fill out these roles on that in those tackle spots. Here's Buffalo, Andrew Voorhees, filling out really the only position of need on the offense. I would say that isn't some type of luxury pick. Continue to help out that running attack that they're trying to at least build something with. When you have a guy like James Cook, you trade for Naheem Hines, so they're trying to get something going there. And then you have Josh Allen, of course, you need to keep upright as well. Moving into the final 8 picks, start with the Bears. John Michael Schmitz, the center out of Minnesota, adding another offensive lineman. Center is a very important position. And this allows you to figure out the best 5 guys on that offensive line for Justin Fields. Cody Mauch, offensive tackle, North Dakota State, going to Tennessee. Your offense lives and dies by Derrick Henry, and you got to keep building that offensive line for Malik Willis, who's probably going to be the quarterback next year. They're going to likely move on, I think, from Tannehill, try to pick up some sort of draft capital for him. Cowboys, Sean Tucker, running back, Syracuse. Cut Zeke, and even then, if you keep Tony Pollard, you're going to need a compliment for him, and Sean Tucker, I think, would be perfect. Giants need a corner. They go Jalen Jones from Texas A&M. Keep throwing pieces out there. Can't have enough corners, especially trying to figure out who that second outside corner is going to be with Adoree Jackson. You can just keep trying guys there. Dolphins go Garrett Williams, cornerback out of Syracuse. They'll probably lose one of their top 2 corners, either Howard or Byron Jones. And even if they don't, Garrett Williams can play a little bit of safety as well if you need him to play on the inside. So there's a lot of possibilities you can do with Garrett Williams to help out that defensive secondary. And here are the Lions. Henry To'oTo'o, linebacker, Alabama. There you go. Another defensive player for you guys, Detroit. I did a little bit of what I wanted and a little bit of what you wanted. Okay? Didn't use the first pick on Levis, used it on Keely Ringo, used the second first-round pick on Levis. Then took a big body tight end for the quarterback, Will Levis, and the future of that team at a position that you need, that you trade Hawkinson. And now I'm going back defense again. This is your pair up with Malcolm Rodriguez. I hope you guys are happy with this. I really do. Then the Chiefs, Mozzie Smith, defensive tackle, Michigan. This is a good compliment to Chris Jones on that interior. And now you got Nolan Smith, Karlaftis on the edges, Mozzie Smith, Chris Jones there on the interior. That's a very good front four moving forward. And then the Eagles luxury pick Zach Evans, running back, Ole Miss. Not to bring back Miles Sanders. Didn't get a whole lot out of their running game against Washington. And I think that you're just not going to get a whole lot out of that running game, I think, in general with Jalen Hurts. So not worrying about paying running backs. Use some of these like day 2, day 3 picks on running backs. I think is a good strategy for them going forward. And, 64th pick, it's basically a 3rd round pick. So a midday 2 pick on a running back when you can dump Miles Sanders and maybe one other guy, pair up Evans with Kenneth Gainwell, 1-2 punch in the backfield with Hurts. Keeps you spending high-level draft capital and free agency cap space money on more important positions like across the defense, maybe an offensive lineman, secondary guys in the secondary, maybe another receiver, maybe another tight end, perhaps. But this is a good spot, I think, for a team like this to use draft capital on a running back. And there it is, 63 picks out of 64 because the Dolphins are sketchy as hell. But what did you guys think about what I did with your team? Detroit Lions fans, are we good? Are we good? Or are you still mad at me? I hope you're not still mad at me. I hope that you at least like this video and comment why you're upset with me still. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'm trying to make everyone happy. Okay, I'm trying to make you guys happy too. I'm actually really a big fan of your team. I've been cheering for you guys all year. Dan Campbell, MCDC. I'm telling you, man, I think about you guys every day, man. And I think about you guys every day too. That's why I try to come up with some type of content that I can record that should be interesting. Keep it locked in for future videos. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.